What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XRP today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. It is the 14th day of September, and here we are down about 2.7% on this lovely Sunday afternoon. $3.03 is the price. 4 hours, 7 minutes left in the day. It's looking like a lower high, is it not? It's looking like yet again, another lower high in this range. But if we use our line drawing skills, we can see that what we're doing actually right now is we have broken out from a high point here. We've broken out of this. We're actually back testing this line for support, which typically is a good thing. You guys know I don't really care much for diagonal lines, but whenever you have this kind of reaction, it's what's called a break, hook, and go, a bump and run, a back test of prior resistance. It's a good thing. And it's a back test of prior resistance in more than one way, not just here on this trend line, but also here, if we put a horizontal line there, you can see that we're finding support at prior resistance here, at prior support here, prior support there, prior resistance right there. I bet if we go back, prior resistance right there, prior support right there. It's a significant level. It's a significant horizontal level, and that's great. We're not finding immaculate support, but we did find support right there. We have 4 hours left in the day. Let's see how the end of the day goes. It is the end of the week as well. From a high to a low, not including the fake out low, we've gone from the 0.5 to the 382 area. I'd say this looks overall constructive. I like it. I think that it looks fine. So far, it looks pretty damn good. I'd like to look at the 1 hour time frame, and then we can zoom back out and look at some other stuff, okay? The 1 hour time frame here, to be fair, does look bearish. It actually does look bearish, so maybe we don't get a bullish end of day, and that's okay. It does look like you want to come down lower. Hopefully what we get is some bullish divergence, in which case you either close a slightly lower low than this, or maybe you even go below this low here at $3 itself. You might go just below $3, get the last taste of prices below $3 that XRP will ever see in its existence, and then boom, then we rally. Bullish divergence there. We could set up bullish divergence with the stochastics and the MACD as well, but in all fairness, all three of these indicators do suggest lower prices are coming. So we probably do have a bearish finish to this day for XRP. 5 minutes left in this 1 hour candle. It looks like that's what's going to happen. 4 hour time frame here. Yeah, that's a pretty bearish look on the 4 hour. We have 5 minutes left in this time frame here. Looking like, man, if you could close it green, that'd just be so nice, but you're not up that much. If you could close it to where you're bouncing off the 40 here, that would be great. But even if the next candle, the next 4 hour candle, even if you come down and you're down here, but then you come back up and you close higher, you'd still probably get a bounce off this 40 area. So I'm not really too worried about it. I just want to I hope that we have a proper reaction here soon enough, no matter how low we go. This could be the low, but at this point I would think that we see a slightly lower low. If not, maybe a slightly higher low. Maybe it's a perfect tweezer bottom, double bottom, right? Where kind of like this here, right? Something like that. That might be what I'd expect. I'd like to have that kind of reaction, where it's a big wick to the downside. Anyways, or at least relative to the size of the candle, it's a bigger wick than a body to the downside. The stochastics are at an area to bounce as well. If we look at the RSI here, you've bounced in this area once, twice, found resistance here, found support right there. I don't know about that. That's kind of insignificant stuff there. Resistance right there, support right there, all in the same kind of area, right around the 40 on the RSI there. The stochastics do look bearish, and the MACD is bullish overall while momentarily bearish. So I think that you could go lower, but you're probably near the end of this little retracement since yesterday, right? Hold on. Sorry, I had to clear myself out there. Looking at the daily time frame, the RSI rejecting the overbought zone. That's not the best thing. It's not really a rejection off the overbought zone, but close enough. You've rejected this area before, and you had to retest yourself. Still high or low overall, and you continue to grow. But hopefully, we don't drop all the way down to the 45, 43. Whatever comes our way, though, I'm sure we'll be fine. Even if we do go lower than what I'm thinking is going to happen, from a low here to a high there, maybe we find support all the way at $2.87. Maybe it's at $2.84, but I doubt we go below that area. Looking at it here, and I suppose if I looked at this first, I would very clearly believe that we are going to the 382. I think that the statistical probability that we see a $2.98, $2.99 price somewhere in that area, I believe it's very likely, very, very possible, statistically probable. And if we're looking at this here, this does look like a kind of common setup where you get this nice body up, a doji candle at the top, and then you kind of come back down and meet that up. Sometimes you reverse it, but sometimes it persists lower. So again, even if we do go lower, even if XRP goes all the way down to 287 or lower, everything's fine. Though I don't expect that to happen. I would think what happens is we find support at the 382 and we continue to move up. Then maybe we find turbulence and have a more significant drawback. I want to look at the the low to high or high to low here. Yeah, I would think that we do continue up to the golden ratio, 327 to 334, and then maybe from there we'll have a more sizable correction compared to what we're doing here, but it'll be at a higher level. So um, ultimately, I would expect that we do move down a little bit from here, right, down to about 298 to 299, and then going into the 17th of this week. Going into this next week, we should be seeing prices at 327 or higher. I expect that after the FOMC meeting, or maybe even on the day of the announcement from Jerome Powell that the interest rates are being cut, I would expect that we see a little bit of volatility in the markets, probably to the downside, and then afterwards we should be resuming. So next week we'll have a little turbulence here and there, moving up into next week, and then we should kind of shake out going into the end of the week, and then the following week, ending the month, we should have some nice upside taking place. Once we get above about like $3.55, that's when the floodgates open. That's when the bullish behavior will truly kind of take shape and take off. And I would expect that we see prices that are, maybe by the end of this month, if not at new all-time highs, at least around all-time highs. And we could go all the way up to about, I don't know, maybe we're as high as like $4 or more by the end of the month. But if not, I very much believe that prices like that will be reserved for next month, October. October should be the truly bullish month. And again, we've kind of revised our thinking as far as where these new all-time highs could come in, right? Or where the ultimate destination could come in. For a long time, I've thought that we would see prices all the way up at what's the price here? It's about $13 to $16. That's where I thought we would go by the end of October. Sorry, that's my daughter. By the end of October. I still think that we're going to get there. It's just instead of by the end of October, maybe now it's by the end of the year, $13 to $16. I don't know how to feel about it, right? And if we look at XRP, maybe if we look at it here with something that's got more history. I hope I didn't throw anybody off. I got a little distracted because of my daughter. I very much believe we're going to $13 to $16. Okay? I very, very much believe that that's the next kind of stop, where if we're looking at this here, like as a low to a high, your kind of significant stopping point was here. You had to stop along the way where you paused, but like your real significant stopping point was here. You had stops along the way, and then that was your ultimate destination there, your like cycle high destination, right? I think that our next, not like stopping point, like this is a stopping point, but our ultimate kind of destination for this move before we get a real significant stop is going to be at that $13 to $16 area. I very much believe it will be. I believe that the all-time high for this cycle ultimately will be just like this last cycle here, how we had a significant kind of pivot in between. I think but we ultimately continue to climb higher. I think we will ultimately go to prices that are above $40 or more for XRP this cycle. But first, we will stop at about $13 to $16. And I think that's going to happen maybe by the end of October, maybe, or likely by the end of the year. Sorry, I got so distracted. I feel like my mind was scattered, but that's just because there's distractions in the house, so that's just how it is sometimes. I hope I made clear sense out of that. If I didn't make sense out of that, let me just try to say it one more time, okay? 13 to 16 cents is the next target area. That's where I believe we're going to find our next kind of consolidation point. Why won't it go on the low here? 13 to $16, not cents. 13.56, a little bit above that, $16. Typically with the 1414, you don't stop right at it. You go just above it, okay? XRP, with how fast it moves, we really could be there by the end of October. But also, there's nothing wrong with taking a little bit more time. We would still be moving at a very fast pace if we got there, even by the end of this year. But I would expect that 13.56 area is ultimately where we're going to stop next. Okay, we could move up to $8, consolidate a little bit in October, continue to rally into the end of the year. It could be a two-part move, but I do believe that procedure overall is still happening. Okay, and not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I don't think anybody has any business taking profits on XRP until we're at least 13.56. But genuinely, I think that we're going to be at dramatically higher prices than that by the end of the cycle. I think if you wait until either December of this year or the first or second quarter of 2026, I think it'll be the second quarter that we top off, but at least December. If you wait until at the earliest December, at the latest April, to sell, to take profits, I think you'll be a lot happier than trying to play this game of, is this the top or is it not the top at $4, $5, $7, $8, you know what I mean? Because we're very likely going to go to $13 or more. We've run the numbers enough times, it makes sense out of it, right? I need to do another kind of in-depth analysis as to why we make sense out of that area, but it really comes from the Bitcoin chart and comparing XRP to Bitcoin. Whenever you do that, it's a very clear path to prices that are not just at $13, but dramatically higher than that by the end of the cycle, right? Depending on what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin stays here at its current price of 115K, okay, fine. Maybe XRP doesn't get to these levels, but I highly doubt that Bitcoin does anything less than a multi-$100,000 price by the end of the cycle. Therefore, I highly doubt that XRP sees anything that's under $20 by the end of the cycle, right? Let alone, I really do expect $40 to $70 to be the all-time high for XRP this cycle. But I'm talking so much, I'm going to end the video there. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I got a little bit distracted there, but hopefully it wasn't too hard to follow, or hopefully the 2 or 3 times that I repeated myself made it a little bit easier to conceive the idea of what I'm addressing. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.